And as you can see here, we took off all our dash components but the steering wheel for now. We'll probably take out the steering wheel. We're going to take out the steering column as well. It's usually pretty simple. It just unbolts up at the steering box in the front, and the steering wheel and the tube will come out. You can actually keep the rod on there if you'd like. I like to do that because this actually, the tube is supposed to be painted in these years like the cream white color, like an almond color. I see so many restorations that are done that they didn't take the steering wheel off, and they wind up painting the tube the color of the car when they wind up painting the dash and whatnot. So I personally don't like that. I like to be as original as I can. And as you see, we take the speedo out, take the grills out, take the radio out, take the glove box door, take everything off the dash as much as possible. Those later BuGs that have the padded dash, I would say take the pad off as well if you really want to go as detailed as I like to go. But for the most part, if you're going with the same color, you can possibly keep the pad on there and just mask it off. But if you have a cracked pad and the vents are all cracked and whatnot, I would just go for a new pad. And then of course we got our headliners. You take your carpet out, you take your seats out. Now when you take your seats and carpet on, is a good time now to check your pans. As you can see, this pan has a patch over here in the front, so we're gonna have to fix that. There's some little small pock marks in this floor pan that we're gonna have to repair. If you have an early BuG, like a 55 and earlier BuG, if you notice, see these seat rails, they're flat. If you get aftermarket pans, the actual rails will be up on an angle. So your option is to either I've seen some people, they actually section the pans, like kind of almost what this guy does. You can buy 4 sections that keep the rails in the center intact, but you just replace the 4 halves. But the problem with that is then it looks like a pieced up pan, and unless you're a really good welder and a seamer, it's not going to look so smooth. But with the other alternative is to buy the actual full pans. You cut off these rails and cut off the new rails on the new pan, and you weld these on. So that's that other option. I also take off the shifter and the e-brake because I like to paint these all separately and out of the car. And then also, now that the car is gutted, you took the interior out and you took the headliner out and everything, now's a good time to also check your heat channels. These are the rockers. Okay, the heat channel section, these are always common problem in BuGs, especially down by the doorpost area here in the corner. There's always rust in there. It's a good chance now to look at everything and see exactly what kind of metal you're going to have to do on this car, and if it requires taking the body off as opposed to keeping it on the chassis when the painter gets it. So this particular car, we're actually going to take the body off simply because it's got some nice rot back here. Now, I mean, we can technically keep the chassis on, the body on the chassis, but you know what? It's just a lot easier to get in here and to weld up in here in this section here where the back of the heat channel is. That always rots here. There's a hole back there too, you see. When the body is actually off, you have an easier time to get in here. This is also another common problem, the shock mount area. It's a support brace. So, shock tower area rather. And yeah, that's just, a couple of other things that you should do as far as interior goes and gutting things down and getting an idea of what kind of work is involved in your car. Here's the other areas back here. You see that hole. Okay, now when it comes to wiring, I also like to take the wires out of their positions. I take the fuse boxes out. I basically gut everything out, even when they come trailing down into the tub area and out the lights. I just like to do that just because, again, I find too many restorations where the guys wind up painting over the wires, and if you had a blue car and they painted it blue, all the wires are now blue. And if you come across an electrical issue, now you're scrambling and trying to rub off the paint to see what color the wires are. If your wires, the original wires are good, and a lot of them are frayed and they're old, and years have gone on where they're spliced together, pretty amateurishly, I would go for a new wiring harness if you have some cruddy wires in here. The BuG Me video DVD series has a wiring tip, a wiring DVD on showing you how to gut the car down when it comes to taking your wires out. But if your wires are good, what I do is I basically disconnect everything from the switches, disconnect everything from the fuse box, like I said, from the lights, and basically I'll wrap it up in a bag, as you can see here. All the wires and the switches are all in this bag, and basically the painter can just move this bag and move it out of the way if he has to paint up into this area. The original wires on this car were really in great shape, so I wanted to keep them, and they'll work just fine when I hook it back together. And you can download the schematics, from the Samba website. Look up your year, and they have the wiring schematics for your BuG to put the wiring back together. But I would definitely look into the BuG Me video DVD series on wiring. It's definitely a good DVD. So, and also, a lot of times when you're disconnecting things, you might look at a switch, and you see it up by the wiper motor, or you see it by the light switch or the key switch, and all these wires are hooked together. And then before you go to disconnect them, you're afraid, when it comes time to put it all back together, you don't know which switches or which prongs to, what colors go where on what side of the switches. We live in the digital world today. If you have a pocket camera or a phone that takes a decent picture, all you got to do is then just take a photo of the switch, the back of the switch, or which wires went in what direction. You take a photo of it, and basically now you have a history snapshot of it. And then when it comes time to putting the car back together, you can basically just pull up that old picture and then remember where everything goes.